Hello and welcome to this SER322 project demonstration. My name is Jess Valdez and this is Team 10 Demos. The following names are the group members of Team 10. This project is a sample podcast relational database application. This database contains 5 relations, all tables, although it may not show very well in this video, so please look at our README document. So what we have here is a live website that contains the hosted database of the podcast relation. The domain is www.i-c.xyz. To demonstrate the functionality of our database, we have created a pull-down menu that lists some of the ideal queries a podcast database user may need. So let's try it out. Let's say we want to show the shows with the highest average star rating in descending order. Simply do that. And here you go. Let's say we may need the name and subscriber count of podcast with most subscriber. Or we may need the subscriber counts for all providers in descending order. And we may try another one. We may want the user ID, full name, and number of podcasts subscribed for all users. It's a bigger list. Or we may want the total number of episodes. There's 1,000 episodes on this database. So that is our web application for a podcast database. Next, I'm going to demonstrate how the database is created. So at this point, the database model is already decided. The tables are normalized and the queries were already debugged by the team. I'll demonstrate, however, how we created the database. In this case, I'm using my local machine, which have a server instance of MySQL. Using the local instance of the database is the ideal way of testing and figuring out the issues before the database is set up over the web for web access. So my computer have a local MySQL server that is running, and I'm going to use Workbench today as my client application. And start by creating a schema and call this a schema and call it ASU. And just like that, we have an ASU schema. And I set that schema as our current default. And then the next step is to create the relations in this ASU schema we've created. And for that, I have a script that I'm going to run, which basically create the tables. And so this is the script that I'm going to run. I'm going to run it for the schema created, completed. So at this point, I should have the tables. I refresh. And yes, I do have the 6 tables. So we have empty tables at this point. So the next step is to populate those tables with data. And for that also, I have a script. I'm going to run the script, which populates data to the different tables. And there you go. That was very quick. And so the next step is basically to test and see if I have any data on these tables. And I do. So now I could test out the queries that we have created similar, or we have run on the web application. So for instance, if we wanted to see subscriber counts for all providers in descending order. And I get that, and I'm going to execute the similar script or the same command we run on that on the local machine. And there you go. You should have similar data because this is similar data or similar database. I should execute one more thing just to make sure. So how about we get the user ID and the number of podcasts. So basically user ID, full name, and number of podcasts subscribed for all users. And do the same thing on the, and we get exactly the same set of data. So that means that we have successfully created the database, populated the data, and showed what we have on the web is similar to what we have created on the local machine. So finally, I'm going to demonstrate how the web application is set up. Basically, on my machine, I do have a Apache server set up. So basically, I have a local web framework, and the web application basically consisted. These are the two key files, which is the index and the podcast.php. Index is basically this front page, and when you pick up one of these queries, it executes and it sends an index to podcast the PHP file, and the PHP file executes the query. So in my Apache directory, I have index, and in this case, I'm gonna name this so that we could show for sure that this is a local. So I'm going to say this is a local machine. Save it. And so if I'm going to go here and say localhost, we're actually pointing to that local machine. And so let's see if it works. I'm going to execute a query, and it does. And so this one is running off the local machine, and the podcast script is basically this, and this is the ASU server that we have created. And when you pick up any one of these queries, it goes to these case statements and execute these pre-designed or predefined queries that we've selected. So basically, that's how our web setup is created. The other features, which is our database structure features, basically calls an HTML script, which then calls this PNG file. Basically, that was the structure.html, and then if you click the about, it opens the about.html, which is this guy. So I hope you liked my video. That is for Team 10 project. Thank you.